Hello again. We're back to talk about me again. Well, not really me, but somebody else. So welcome to another edition of Between Two Ferns. I'm your host, Mark Griffith, and I will be interviewing today Abhi Tiwari and Lakshmi Nidamarthi, who work for FBA, and I'm very happy to welcome them here to the stage.
Thank you, Mark.
All right. So, first question I have for you guys is, what is FBA and why did Amazon invent it?
Well, it's kind of funny. It's really cool to be sitting here with Mark, who's one of the key inventors of FBA. So it's almost like a trick question. FBA stands for Fulfilment by Amazon, if you don't know it. It's a service that we provide for our sellers on the marketplace, linking to your selling account. It allows sellers to use Amazon's world-class ordering fulfillment service and customer service to grow your business. In true Amazon fashion, we heard our customers and we listened to what they wanted in terms of the hassle of not having to contact a seller to find out about their shipments and have the ability to get free shipping and use Amazon's customer service to deal with their products. So FBA was born out of that customer need, and as we built the program, we realized that customers quickly became very comfortable, ordering from a seller just like they would order any Amazon item. And in the last year alone, on behalf of our sellers, we have shipped over 2 billion units worldwide, and sellers from 130 countries were able to reach their customers in 185 countries using FBA.
It's a great, great story in terms of what you guys have accomplished. Why should you use FBA if you're a seller?
So if you're a seller and you're thinking about some of the services to use in Amazon, one of the biggest benefits you get is Prime and free shipping. All of your orders in FBA are automatically enabled for Prime eligible, so you receive them in 2 days. Your customers also have access to world-class customer service. Over time, it actually helps you reduce your costs as a seller and gives the convenience to your customer. But more importantly, as a seller, it allows you to focus on growing your business. And as you scale your business, FBA allows you to use our fulfillment centers, over 100 fulfillment centers, to be able to scale your business worldwide. Additionally, it also helps you to grow your business internationally. We have simplified, a lot of the things about dealing with various global logistics solutions. So you could use FBA to ship to your customers globally. So one of the new programs we're super excited about is Pan-European FBA, where you could ship into any one of our sites and you can reach your customers in all 5 European marketplaces. And we're super excited about that.
Great. I think FBA is another great example of Amazon's core capability of shipping directly to consumers quickly that we've enabled other people to take advantage of.
Yep, absolutely.
We used to call it like the big printer in the sky, right? You just send stuff in there and it automatically gets shipped out. We've talked a little bit to Pete before about how selling on Amazon has transformed people's business. What have you seen with FBA in terms of sellers and how it's transformed their business?
So one of the most gratifying things about this job is to listen to these stories of sellers and how they came up with an idea of a product and how they were able to reach customers worldwide. A business that comes to mind is Anchor. Anchor was one of our sellers. He was an engineer from Google in 2011.
By the way, Pete did tell the story earlier.
Oh, he did?
Stole your thunder a little bit.
I was going to talk about Steve, yeah. But he's one of our favorite. But if you go on FBA and you look at seller stories, we have quite a few of these sellers. But I can turn to you and ask you, what's your favorite seller story?
So the reason why this portrait exists was not because I have the world's biggest ego and I like to print really large portraits of myself. I'll tell you.
Which is also true.
It's also true, but I like to take photos. But the title on the bottom says the grandfather of FBA. And the reason why is because when I interviewed at Amazon about 13 years ago, they offered me 2 different jobs. I could run this program called Convergence, or I could work on this thing called SOF, SSOF, self-service ordering
Order
and fulfillment, which later became FBA. And I chose the other one. And then the VP was like, I really think you should choose this thing called soft. So I joined, there was a product manager and there was a software manager. And the product manager quit 3 weeks later. And he said, today is the greatest day of my life because I will never have to meet Jeff Bezos again. He met with Jeff every other week to talk about FBA, and Jeff was not happy that we weren't moving quickly. And then the software manager, he took a leave of absence, and so there was me. And then they assigned a director to the program, Tom Taylor, who still runs the program today. And then we added a principal engineer and some TPMs. But my favorite seller story is the fact that I got to go to the first seller's house. She lived in Maple Valley. I went to her house. She was a bookseller, and I walked into her basement, and I helped her put the first books in boxes, actually put labels on them, put them in boxes, and load them on the truck, and they got shipped. We were only opening in room 1FC at the time, which was in Reno, and that seller later actually moved to Reno to be close to the FC, and I don't know if she still sells on the program today, but I'm fond of that story because it was the first one. And to now think, some 10 years later, that you guys have shipped 2 billion units is an amazing
but
story.
Isn't that amazing? It's like as they've started reaching, their first 100 units and then their 1,000 units. And Anchor was telling me like last Thanksgiving they sold over 100,000 units in 2 days. And every
2 days.
In 2 days over Thanksgiving. And they're one of our largest sellers and one of our favorite stories because of the way we've been able to help them grow and scale, take their product and build out a business.
I'll tell one other quick story.
Go for it.
Which is, this product manager actually had a box of tapes on his desk. And those box of tapes were interviews that he'd done with sellers. He called them and he said, do you want fulfillment? All of them said no. Nobody wanted it. And I think one of the things that we learned in FBA that is to your key point about why people should use it is, while it is about fulfillment, and that really does help people scale, it's really about Prime, right? It really is about the fact that when your inventory is in Amazon's warehouses and we know we can ship it within 2 hours and we can tell the buyer that and you qualify for Prime, that is a huge growth for people's business.
And the customer service, using Amazon's world-class customer service.
They answer questions for you on your behalf. Yeah, it's great. All right, well, next question I have is, what can FBA do to help you if you run your own website?
Yeah, so, hi everyone. So I think like with FBA, we've built this great product that helps you get to Prime customers. And I think what we're seeing over time is that, that you sell on other websites, you sell on your own website, and there should be a solution that we can create for you. And kind of leading off of this Prime conversation, I think we're seeing a lot of change in customer behavior. A few years ago, customers would say, 4 to 5 business days is probably what I expect in e-commerce delivery. And I think Amazon's changed a lot of that, right? There's data that shows that customers want 2-day delivery. It is an expectation. And so we've created a product called multi-channel fulfillment, which allows you to use Amazon's own FCs and the technology that we have built and the various infrastructure we have of trucks and people to do the same thing for your own website, with the 2-day delivery at cost-efficient rates.
Did you get the code for that?
So I was just waxing nostalgic in my head because I still have a photo on my Flickr stream of Joel Shepard, the SDE, who launched multi-channel fulfillment, and he had 2 monitors up, the logs were tailing, and I still remember the day when we shipped our first unit in production out to the customers, and it's a great thing to hear you talking about it now.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
Okay. What's different about how Amazon does fulfillment from other logistic providers?
Yeah, so I think there's sort of 2 key aspects here. The first one is simplicity. I think we've talked to a lot of sellers about how they're managing logistics, and we constantly hear like, hey, look, I have to go get a warehouse, I have to go negotiate contracts, I have to figure out where all my inventory is going, I have to kind of manage all these different people. And what we're trying to say is like, hey, we can simplify all that for you, right? Like you send us everything in a box. Maybe Mark can help you tape it up. And then we go put this across all of our different FCs, pick, pack, ship, and handle returns. So that's sort of like the one, kind of simplicity. I think the other piece is really around the combination with FBA, right? So if you're selling on Amazon and your inventory for selling off Amazon is in the same place, it just saves you cost, and it saves you a lot of headache. So we've seen a lot of sellers who are using both of these together. They're out of stock less, right? Because you have a single pool of inventory, and they're paying less for their inventory because now you don't have to move all that stuff around.
How do you get started in multi-channel if you're using FBA today?
So the easiest way to get started is to go to amazon.com/multi-channel-fulfillment. I swear we will come up with a shorter URL, but it's easy. So we have a web-based UI where you can drop your orders. We have an Excel upload, so once a day you can come in and upload all your orders. We have an API through the Marketplace Web Services API for you to drop your orders. And then we also have integrations with Shopify to basically allow you to automatically get all your orders from Shopify directly into multi-channel fulfillment.
Okay. So if my inventory is in FBA, do I have to sign up separately for multi-channel?
No. So multi-channel is something that you can use as and when you want. So the inventory that you send into FBA doesn't really get segregated. Like we don't say, hey, this is for FBA and this is for all your other channels. It's sort of one pool. And you can drop your order at any time you want. So.
Okay. I think you guys actually may have gone to an FC and seen some of that as part of your travels here. But if you didn't and you ever get a chance to do that, it's a great opportunity to take advantage of that. What are some of the innovations that Amazon is doing in the fulfillment centers that make all of that stuff happen better and faster? That's a question you guys aren't ready for.
So I think one of the programs that we're talking about we launched last year was for small and light products.
Okay.
Learning how to do fulfillment for some of these smaller products. We have built out new ways of how we do fulfillment at a lower cost so that we can.
Because these items are usually low ASP.
Low ASP,
right?
less than $10, and something that customers are willing to wait for 3 to 5 day shipping, something they don't need urgently. Think about a battery pack. We worked with our fulfillment centers to come up with lightweight models for those, and so you should go check that program out, the Small and Lights. Pan Europe, FBA is one of those other programs that I talked about, and we're continuously looking at how do we improve our returns processes, customer service, a lot of these things to pass back value to our sellers.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the other programs I'll briefly touch on. I think if you've read a lot about Amazon, we're all about building stuff for our own sort of internal businesses and then kind of externalizing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
FBA is a great example of that, right? We built a world-class logistics network and allow you to now use that for on Amazon and off Amazon. Recently, we started to do something else along those lines. So we've taken the software that kind of runs in a lot of our fulfillment centers, and we actually allow our merchants to use it in their warehouse. So if you feel like you need some of the technology that Amazon has in its fulfillment centers to help you do your own fulfillment, we actually sell a warehouse management system. The initiative is sort of in a pilot. It's called Seller Flex. But essentially, we're kind of taking these things that we've built for internal purposes and really trying to externalize them.
I think another one that I'll tell a short story about that I know is the inbound vision tunnel.
Yeah.
Maybe not something that we talk about or publicize, but I think it's a cool story of an
yeah.
innovation that you see. If you watch video of how items used to get received in the warehouse, they would come in off the truck, get loaded onto a conveyor belt, they would come to an associate, they would cut open the box, and they would take one item at a time, and they would scan the box, scan the shipment, scan the item, then put it in a tote, and that would get shipped off to the FC. And what we did with the inbound vision tunnel is we took high-speed cameras. We actually built a tunnel where boxes can go through. We encourage people to label them beforehand or to send us the same unit in a box. We know the weight of the items. We know how many items there should be in the box and what they weigh. We do high-res scans of the images they come in. We read the barcodes, and if everything matches in terms of what we expect, what you told us, and the weight, we automatically divert that entire box into the warehouse where then it's stowed, and we actually count the items as we stow them on the shelves and verify the quantity. And it took receive times from, hours to like within seconds, right? And what has that done to change how FBA has been able to move the inbound process over time?
Yeah, it's made it a lot more efficient, right? So if you think about like peak, if you think about when sellers really need to get a lot of inventory into FBA, that time between receiving something and making it available for Prime is super critical, right? Like you're trying to turn as fast as possible. Our FCs are packed, and so you want to get that stuff in fast. And I think the vision tunnels are a key aspect of getting that done for us, right? You don't want an associate to start digging through that stuff when the Black Friday is 2 days away. Like you want that thing to zoom straight through and somebody to grab that item as soon as it gets on the shelf.
And I think that's one small example of how, like Pete mentioned, we have thousands of engineers that are working on these things, and we have thousands of engineers working on our fulfillment technologies, always innovating, always improving, always making new things and coming up with new and innovative ways to ship faster and to go quicker to our customers.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're now at the awkward stage where we're out of questions. So I can ask you guys for stories, you can ask me for stories, or we can go to the audience for questions. It's like, which door do you want to enter?
We can start with your stories and have you add to that.
Start with my stories. What more stories do I have about FBA? I have a lot. I was in FBA for almost 9 years, so FBA was a great opportunity for me to be able to be involved in a program early on and watch it scale and grow over time. One of the things that we talked about with Pete just a little bit was about global selling and how that is kind of tearing down, again, some of these barriers that are really complicated with shipping goods across boundaries and the tax requirements and everything. Amazon is taking a lot of that same complexity that exists in global selling and taking the complexity out of it. How much do you guys know about the China program where we're actually bringing goods from there to Europe and the US, and how's that working?
So there's actually two programs I'll talk about. One is, I think it was leaked into the papers as Project Dragon Boat, which essentially is helping sellers ship their goods from China to the US, where Amazon is the carrier. So helping you lower your costs, get more reliable service, where we pick up the goods in China and bring it into either the US or Europe. So that's a program that's actually scaling pretty quickly. The other one that I'll actually call out, which Mark again worked on this, it's called Magic by Amazon. I don't know what the official name for it is, but it's an interesting idea where you come and sell your items, say for example in the UK. We will take that product and list it for sale on another marketplace, but under the sort of Amazon brand. And when somebody else in, say, Germany kind of buys that thing, we essentially do like a flash sale where you'll sell the item to Amazon. You'll sell the item to Amazon, and then Amazon sort of takes it straight from there. And the reason why we built this was there's a lot of people who just don't want to deal with any of the complexities of going across border. And so what we said was, okay, let us handle that, right? So this shows up as a domestic sale where you're selling this to Amazon, but we do essentially everything afterwards, right? So we take the thing across the border, we manage all the customer service, and as well as the returns from that point. I think this is in a beta program right now in Europe. I'm forgetting the actual name of the program, but it's pretty powerful because we're essentially trying to take away all the guesswork of you having to go across into a new country.
And I think for sellers, a way to think about Fulfillment by Amazon is think about the world. We've spent years and years of trying to perfect the science of getting a package with a lot of religion, as you heard from Mark about taking a package, delivering it to customer in time. So we really have spent a lot of time and science behind it. And so for you as a seller, think about the leverage you can get to reach your customers. So you can go back to rebuilding your products. Anchor, they have great examples of where they might launch a new product, they look at the customer reviews and they really listen and they're able to revise their product specs and take all of the tax of figuring out how do I take this, how do I put this online, how do I ship it on time, and make sure and have Amazon take care of that aspect for you, while you get to get the same access that any product on Amazon has for you as a seller. And you could augment that with your multi-channel fulfillment if you want to do it for your own website or for your own products. Because there's a lot that you could learn or use that Amazon has built over the years, and that's what this whole product or the power of this product is. And Prime Day is coming, and that's another place where a lot of your products get featured, and it's such a fun thing for us to watch. Some of the sales zoom through for the sellers, and when you're planning for peak or you're having your Christmas shop, so you can focus on building your products and let us take care of the fulfillment for you.
Can we talk about Prime Day for a minute? Like, how does FBA items qualify for Prime Day, and how do sellers participate in that program?
The easiest way is to sign up for FBA.
Yeah.
Right. So with Prime Day, this allows you to essentially have your products front and center with a Prime offer. Right. Customers, when they come and search for products on Amazon, I do this, I filter on Prime only, right? And so using FBA is probably the most powerful way that you can do it, and just make sure you're in stock, right? The biggest travesty you can do is not have enough items in FBA to be able to actually meet the demand that Prime Day creates.
And we help you too. There are tools in Seller Center that tell you about, hey, stay in stock, here's your product, look at these things. So we give you all of them.
We have reporting around that, tools around that,
Exactly.
APIs around that. So, all right. Well, with that, we will conclude Between Two Ferns. Thank you guys for coming. And wait, we have a question?
All right.
In the audience.
Question. I think you touched up on this, but as sellers, we want to reduce the time from when we get the product into the fulfillment center and ready to sell, right? And from my experience so far, it's been pretty good for small SPD, small parcel deliveries, right? Like FedEx, the UPS, the carriers you have. But we also want to reduce costs, especially when we have large quantities going in. So we use the LTL, right? And every time recently that I've used that, it's taken at least 3 weeks or more to bring that in, right? But it's significantly at lower cost. What are you doing in the near term to help shrink that time for LTL shipments?
Sure. So I'm not exactly familiar with those use cases, but I do think using the vision tunnel aspect is probably the fastest way for you to get it in. There's a lot of complexity in the way the small parcel and the LTL shipments work. But I'm happy to kind of follow up with you offline on exactly what happened here and see what we can do to fix it. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
If there are no more LTL questions, we will adjourn. Thank you guys, and make sure you grab them afterwards and get Abhi to help you more. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.